mental health issues, whatever it happens to be, just down on their luck. But where they come from, that's important. And according to a new study from the Discovery Institute's Fix Homelessness, a whole lot of these people who are currently homeless in Seattle or King County started to become homeless outside of Seattle and King County. Nearly 50% became homeless outside of the county. What does that mean?
That they moved to Seattle because they thought it would be more favorable to them.
Bam. Now, we are providing analysis in the why. We know, as a matter of fact, they came here. The question then becomes the why. And I think you're obviously correct on that. They come here because we make it really easy to become homeless here and stay homeless here, not get hassled. And the data, the more you look at the different data points, the more alarming it becomes. 86.6% of the homeless population was born outside of Seattle and King County. 67% neither currently have nor have ever had family in Seattle or King County. It's kind of important because family plays a big role in getting these people off the streets. 80% of them didn't attend high school in Seattle or King County. These are folks who come from outside of the county. And why that matters is if you don't realize that you're attracting homeless people, you're not going to be able to stop attracting homeless people. The problem beyond that is that I don't think they care. I don't think that the local leaders of Seattle and the King County Regional Homelessness Association, KCRHA, I don't think they care. If anything, they might say, well, see, it shows how compassionate we are. People want to be here because we show them compassion and we can actually help them. But you're not helping them. You're making things worse. And oftentimes you'll hear from folks on the left about how they just need more funding. If only they had more funding. If only they had tens of millions more each and every year, then only then could they get this done. No, doesn't work. Because of the policies that they have taken on. The people who get here and either become homeless or are homeless to begin with, they don't get help, they get warehoused. There has been a considerable shift over the course of the last few years. And it follows the housing first model, which on paper kind of makes sense. In practice, does not solve homelessness. Housing first means we will get you into subsidized housing and then get you the treatment you need. We have to get you indoors first and then give you treatment. On paper, that sounds great. That's why years ago, I was like, okay, I think that could work. But then you look at the data and you look at it in practice and you realize the folks don't get the help because there is a low barrier to entry. You are not required as a condition of getting the free housing to get mental health treatment, to get drug treatment, to get job training, whatever it is. There's no requirement. Which is why I say we're just warehousing people. Housing first is supposed to be temporary subsidized housing. It has morphed into permanent supportive housing. And this study showed how they've seen this shift in the funding structure. No more emergency shelters, no more recovery programs. They're now just doing permanent supportive housing, which the homeless industrial complex loves. Because what does permanent supportive housing mean? A permanent job. A permanent amount of money coming in, courtesy of all the buddies you made who are in politics, who are lawmakers, who are in positions of power, who are the bureaucrats doling the money out. There was a 282% increase in overdose deaths inside of these housing first models between 2020 and 2023. 282%. That's a lot. That's a lot. Now, nearly half of all overdose deaths in 2023 in King County were among the homeless population. We're bringing them here. They're not getting help, and they're dying on our streets. One could argue that that's not compassionate. But we're putting them in supportive housing where they have access to all the help that they need. Yeah. An addict who doesn't hit rock bottom for sure is not going to get help. And you know what prevents them from hitting rock bottom? A free place to stay permanently without any meaningful rules. What we're doing in Seattle and King County, and to a greater extent, one could argue in places like Tacoma, slightly Spokane, Bellingham before they started to turn things around a little bit at least, we're becoming like LA. We're following the footsteps of San Francisco. Spending billions of dollars and yet not getting any meaningful results. The opposite. It gets worse. And what's so maddening about this, tackling homelessness, at least putting in place the strategy, is really easy. It's not easy to tackle homelessness, and it's most definitely not cheap. But we know what works. We know prioritizing treatment instead of subsidized permanent housing works. We know that when you stop incentivizing homelessness, the homeless stop feeling enabled. Which means you can't offer unlimited benefits to people who live outside. It means you don't get to give them a pass when they're in an encampment. It means prioritizing services for the folks who live here and are from here beyond start offering them up to everybody else. That's what that means. Enforce the law. That's what you do. This has nothing to do about money. It has nothing to do with anything but a choice. It is, in a way, a manufactured crisis. Manufactured as a result of really bad policy. And as many of you have already noticed, especially when it comes to homelessness and the policies that embolden, doesn't stay within Seattle borders. Talk to the folks in Kent or Federal Way or in Bellingham. Talk to the folks in Auburn and Spokane. It spreads. It spreads. It does not stay contained. It never will, which is why what happens in Seattle as far as homelessness is a statewide problem. They're the ones in charge at the state level, Seattle people. They're the ones who have the undue influence in Olympia. And one might argue, they haven't really shown any reason to trust.